Michigan City Common Council regular meeting for Tuesday, December 21st, 2021 is now in session. Let us all stand for silent prayer and pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty, Ms. Nylam, on the roll call, please.
Mr. Dabney.
Present.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Present.
Mr. Mack.
Present.
Ms. Deitch.
Present.
Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Present.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
Present.
Mr. Simmons.
Present.
Ms. Jigus.
Present.
And Ms. Tillman. We have 8 present and 1 absent.
And the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Everybody had a chance to read over those. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Ms. Nylam, on the roll call, please.
Ms. Jigus. Aye. Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Mr. Mack.
Aye.
Ms. Deitch.
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Aye.
And Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
The next item of business is reports of standing committees. Do we have any reports of standing committees this evening?
Mr. President, I would like to report on the activities of the Labor Relations Committee. As far as negotiating with the FOP, we met with the FOP yesterday afternoon. We met with the FOP today at 10 o'clock this morning, and we have a scheduled meeting tomorrow afternoon with the FOP at 3 o'clock. Okay. Then I'm also very, I'm going to say, proud and enthusiastic to say that the Labor Relations Committee has a ratified contract with the firefighters local 475 of Michigan City, Indiana. And I just want to thank the firefighters local. I know that firefighter Andrew Nouse is here this evening, and him, along with I'm trying to think of the other gentleman that was there. Oh, Judd. Yeah, Judd. They were the 2 head negotiators, and then also Dwayne Brown, Tony Stahoviak, and Nick Babon were the other negotiators on the firefighters negotiating team. And the contract was ratified 65 in favor and 3 against. And according to the firefighters, this is one of the best contracts that they believe they have received from the city in recent times. So I'm very, very proud to be a part of the team that includes Councilman Paul Prespolinski and also Councilman Brian Dabney, along with City Controller Yvonne Hoffmaster, City Attorney Amber LePage, and the City Personnel Director Andrea Smith, and Jim Myers for his participation, that we were able to get that ratified. A lot of hard work, a lot of hard effort. And I thank the firefighters for being very congenial and professional during the whole period of time that we had to get that work done. So with that being said, that's what's going on with the Labor Relations Committee. And we're also going to have resolutions coming up tonight and ordinances, the ordinance coming up tonight to ratify the salary so that can be taken care of, and Yvonne Hoffmaster can do what she has to do to get this contract and get the monies in place for the next 3 years. It's actually a 3-year contract, which I believe is very beneficial to both the firefighters and to the city, that we have that done. 3-year contracts are, I think, beneficial. we won't have to deal with it next year or the year afterwards. So this council won't have to deal with that, with the firefighters. And with the FOP, we will see where we come out within meeting with them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And other reports, is that Councilman Fitzpatrick?
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee did meet on December 16th, and the vote was unanimous to recommend that the claims be approved.
And Councilman Paul Prespolinski.
Oh, I really don't have nothing more to say to that, but I was looking at the transfer docket at the end of the year, and these transfers are from what we had budgeted that need to be put in the accounts on the aviation fund, the cemetery operating, the park operating, and $1 million into the rainy day fund. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. On to the claims docket for December 21st, 2021. Fund number 2042 Riverboat claims was 0. EFT $1,930,000. Fund number 2031 Boyd Development 0. Total claims $1,930,000. Are there any reports of select?
You need a motion on that one?
Oh, yes. Motion to approve.
So moved. So moved.
It's been
Second.
a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Mr. President, I have a question about that,
Yeah. Oh,
about
yes,
the
sir.
claims. Okay. Take, for example, the rainy day fund. I don't have any issue with that. I don't really have an issue. I'm just asking a question. So we're transferring $750,000 to the park operating fund out of the riverboat. So I guess that was set up in the budget.
Yeah, that was,
budget
those were all line items in the budget.
That's a line item in the budget that's automatically $750,000
Yep.
that comes out of riverboat that goes into that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I guess the reason I was thinking about that is because I know, we have to fund the park operation, I guess, a little bit. I didn't know it was that much, but I know parking down at Washington Park, as far as I know, is always at a record high, and we're making record. And I, just for the sake of discussion, I'm not badgering anybody. And the golf operation, I know that they're at a record amount of income that they're making at the golf courses, which is fantastic, and they're making improvements out there. I don't know. I guess I have to get an explanation from the park superintendent exactly why that is the way it is. And yeah, when I hear we're doing so well here, we're doing so well there, but then we got to still take $750,000 out of the riverboat to shore up some operating accounts. I don't know. Maybe something has to be taken a look at in those directions to see why we're giving so much up. Thank you, Mr. President.
All righty. Reports of special or select.
We need a vote.
Again, vote. Yeah. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch, Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
and Ms. Jacobs. Aye. We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
All right. Now on to reports of special or select committees. Councilman Fitzpatrick. I'm just looking at the light. Okay. All right. Oh, everybody's up. Okay. Reports of other city officers and departments, and we have a guest speaker this evening.
Good evening, council members. I'm Shannon Easton. I'm the treasurer of the Michigan City Public Art Committee. And I, along with Member Kathy Dennis would like to present our 2021 annual report to you this evening. We need to point it at the laptop. So I know this is small, excuse me, to read, but the Michigan City Art Committee was established by a Common Council ordinance in 2011. Our mission is to create identity through public art that celebrates our unique historical, cultural, and natural resources. Our committee is made up of 11 volunteer members from various community organizations. Sculpt Fusion is a program that was started by the art committee, and it's a rotating program of art sculptures. Typically, we keep them from anywhere from 2 to 4 years. And it's just to maintain art interest in Michigan City. So we're not just purchasing the same sculpture. Tourists, residents can come in, they see the artwork moving around. It started in the Uptown Arts District, but it has expanded to some of our corridors in Michigan City, such as Michigan Boulevard and Highway 12. This year we had 10 sculptures featured in our rotating exhibit. We added 2 colorful and high-profile pieces this year created by artist Ray Katz. They're located on the southwest corner of 8th Street and Michigan Boulevard, again in a city corridor. Sentinel is displayed on the southwest corner of 7th and Franklin Streets, which is in the Uptown Art District. They're both pretty tall, substantial, eye-catching sculptures, so we were really pleased to get those. Oops. To celebrate the new pieces in Sculpt Fusion in 2021, we held an artist reception with Ray Katz. He's the sculpture you'll see on the right. We held that at Art Space, so we're grateful to them to donate the space. It was a great reception. We had some other artists that actually came out that have been featured in Michigan City, so it was a good night. In 2021, the city received a donation of Bear Family. This is a sculpture created by artist Jim Collins. We did lease it for 6 years, and then he donated it to the city instead of taking it back. It's placed appropriately, I believe, right near the entrance to the Washington Park Zoo. In addition to the rotating sculptures that we feature each year, the city now has 13 permanent sculptures. I know the slide says 12, but this week the Naomi Anderson sculpture was installed in Charles Westcott Park. So the city now has a really nice collection of 13 pieces of great artwork. The next sculpture, I'm going to let Kathy Dennis talk about this. She's done a great deal of work over the last 2.5, 3 years, trying to get some Native American artwork into our city to celebrate that culture. So I'll turn it over to Kathy.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and council members. As Shannon said, I have been working along with the City Art Commission to bring some Native American art and information about our strong heritage that we have with the Native, several different Native American tribes. And maybe some of you remember we came in, I think last year, asking for some matching funds for a grant that we submitted for. It was going to be a 20-foot sculpture that was going to be really gorgeous. Unfortunately, we didn't receive the grant, and then the pandemic hit. Shannon and I have been talking about trying to revive that so that we can get this piece of work. In the meantime, the sculptor Jason Quigno, who is a Potawatomi Ojibwe Native American from Grand Rapids, he's won many, many awards and has mentored with many nationally known Native American sculptors, has created this turtle. And the turtle is made out of native Indiana limestone. It weighs about 400 pounds. I know because I went to Grand Rapids to pick it up. It represents Mother Earth. And in May, it will be installed in the position right in front of City Hall where the sculpture is now. We're going to switch that out. The Pokagon band of Potawatomis, who are headquartered in Dowagiac, have agreed to write information for a historical marker that will talk about the history of Native Americans for Michigan City. And I just wrote a grant asking for money to create this historical marker that I believe we have a great chance of getting. If not from there, we'll get from someplace else. And we are hoping that when we install the turtle, it will be sort of on a slanted pedestal up high so that people driving by will really get to see the beautiful carvings on the back. And eventually this will be replaced and put somewhere else in the city, and the much larger Native American sculpture will go in its place. So I'm excited. I don't think anything has ever been done that talks about our history with Native Americans, our heritage. They were really the tribes that came down Trail Creek and discovered that Michigan City has a deep port, and that was really the beginning of people thinking about settling in Michigan City and actually creating a city. So they have played an important part in our history. Any questions? No, thank you. I will turn it back to Shannon. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Prespolinski.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis. I remember that, and matter of fact, I had some discussion with Shannon earlier this week about that. And I really think that, some people may not appreciate it, but it is true that the Indian culture is very significant in this area, in this region, and down even further down south into the Great Marsh, in in the burial grounds that are down there. And I would really, I'm in support of this, and
Great.
I hope that you guys really cross your T's and dot your I's and get this thing going, because it is part of our heritage and part of our culture.
Good.
There's a lot of people that have Indian blood in them.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, we will do that. Thank you very much for your support.
I just wanted to add one comment. The placement of the turtle in front of City Hall is significant because the Singing Sands Trail actually runs on the Native American path where they commuted between Detroit and Chicago. So not only will you drive by and see it, it's a smaller piece, nothing like the piece Kathy's talking about, but people that are biking and walking will have an opportunity to stop and read the interpretive signage. Autocast is a program that we have that is a narrated self-walking or driving tour of Sculpt Fusion. So you can download this on any smartphone. You don't even have to be in Michigan City. You can be anywhere in the world and look at our art collection and listen to the narrations of the artists talk about the pieces that they create. The reason that we brought Autocast to Michigan City is to drive people to our downtown, to our shops, our local restaurants, hoping that as they walk along and learn about the sculptures and listen to the artists, that they would also visit our local businesses and try to revitalize the Uptown Art District. So that's Autocast. Autocast started as a small program created by a guy out of New Jersey that made scones to get himself through college. And then he created this. It's now an international program featured in every major city in the United States. Michigan City got on board really early with this, and it has been successful. And it's fairly cheap. We pay $1,100 a year These are the stats. You can't read it. I just wanted to show the council that we do analytics on this program every year. How many people pull up each sculpture? How many times do they listen to the artist? And we compare that annually to make sure that it's still a viable program. From 2020 to 2021, the users went up 139%. It's interesting to me that even from 2019 to 2020, the users went up, but I think people were looking for things to do outdoors because of the pandemic. And you didn't even actually have to physically go to do our tour. So I think that helped our numbers increase. So right now it's still a viable program. Mining, yes.
Is there a link to that? Okay.
Yeah, so the QR code that you see up here is on every sculpture. So you can just scan it with a smartphone and it pulls it right up. There's also manual instructions, but they're so small that we're trying to figure out a way like that doesn't work. If you go down through the Uptown Arts District, there's also window clings in a lot of the businesses that have that barcode. So if you're in one of the boutique shops or restaurants, you can just scan it and say, oh, wow, there's a sculpture like a block away, and start the tour. In 2019, the Michigan City Public Art Committee members mined the archives of City Hall and went through literally thousands of photographs to frame some historic photos, to celebrate our history and enhance the council chamber atmosphere. So the first 9 of them were displayed in the chambers for the last couple of years. Just 2 weeks ago, after your last meeting, we added 2 photos to the collection to celebrate more of our diversity. So you haven't seen them before tonight. The first is the Elston High School 1966 state championship team. And the second is a worker of the Pullman Standard Railroad Car Company, who we are doing research and putting out a lot of social media to find out who he is. Barker Mansion donated this photo. They are also working on a renovation project in their lower level to celebrate our railroad history, and they are very interested to find out who this man is. So if anyone has any connection or think that they know possibly what family, point us in that direction because we'd like to identify him. The art kiosk in Westcott Park has been dedicated to honor the life of local legend Charles Westcott and to celebrate the profound impact he had on our community's youth. This has been a changing art exhibit over many years. I'm really glad to see that this is what we have today because it's in a park named in his honor. Charlie believed you could find a spark of good in nearly every human being, and it just seems fitting that we honor this great man in a park named after him. I have to thank the Beecher very much. They printed a really great edition about Charlie and all the folks in town that he touched over his life, and then they allowed us to turn their pages, their written pages, into large canvas panels to put in the 6-sided kiosk. So if you haven't seen it, it's a great exhibit. Run over there and take a look before the snow's flying. And you can check out Naomi Anderson while you're there. Budgets aren't that fun, but I will say in 2021, we did end the year with a 0 balance. Our beginning budget was $22,700 in our operating budget. We do have a balance of $1,479 in our gifts and donation fund, which is non-reverting. So that will revert into the 2020 cycle. And again, we thank you guys for your support of the art committee. Again, we're volunteers. We try to do a lot of work and have a lot of impact. We have a very small budget, as you can see. So we rely on grants, donations to do our scholarships. I'd like to wish you all and your families a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, We're excited about our work coming up in 2022, especially the Native American piece. And we'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Don?
Yeah, President. I am the liaison from the city council to the arts committee. And since I've been on that committee, it's been very enlightening, very educating, and I enjoy it. Probably out of the most out of any committee that I'm on is to attend those meetings to see what's going on. And I can tell you that the folks that are on this committee are dedicated and come to the meetings and want to see progress done in the city of Michigan City when it comes to the arts. And I think it's evident by the presentation you gave us tonight, Shannon, and just drive around town and you can see the sculptures that are up. You know, I paid a little bit of attention, but now that I'm on the Arts Commission, I pay more attention. And I think it's wonderful. And hopefully we can keep expanding and making, you know, Michigan City better in that respect. To me, it's just a whole different, another part of the city, just like you have the parks and you have, you know, walking paths and all that. Art is just another part of society and what people like. And I think the city council and administration needs to get behind it and keep pushing it in a positive manner. And thank you and the whole committee. And I wish the committee members and you, Shannon, you know, Merry Christmas and keep up the good work and get ready to go for 2022.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We're ready.
Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Ms. Nyla, are there any petitions this evening?
There are no petitions.
Ms. Nyla, can you read the communications?
Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on December 2nd from the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, FESOP renewal for the Indiana State Prison. Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on December 10th regarding an accident report received from Controller Hoffmaster for accident that took place in the Michigan City Police Department vehicle on December 9th. We also received correspondence from Mr. Chris Yagelski regarding City Hall utility bills. And correspondence was received on the 14th from Mr. Rodney McCormick addressing the mayor's request to resign from the Michigan City Housing Authority.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Yeah, if I may, if I could go back to that correspondence from Mr. Yagelski about the City Hall utilities, okay? Because I know that came up last meeting. We made a transfer to cover those bills, and the questions came up, and I had a question when I first saw this, is what was the cause? Why did the bills go up? And Mr. Yagelski sent back a response to myself and the rest of the council members. And what I want to do is just real quickly go over it so we all understand exactly what happened here. It says, as per your request, I'm submitting and clarification as to utility bill costs at City Hall. He was originally notified on November 1st by the controller's office that the average utilities are averaging $4,700 a month, putting the city over budget for the year. And this being my only notification of overages, I immediately put out an email to all staff to help assist in electrical use. In this email, I stressed, you know, don't overuse heaters, fans, unoccupied offices, unnecessary lights, etc. And then he goes on to explain that the 2020 budget was $40,000, in which we spent only $26,000 for the entire year. Some of this reduced usage was the closing of a large portion of City Hall. For long periods, all offices moved from the lower level to include no meetings held within the building. And a huge difference in the 2020 was the work at home policy enacted by COVID. And then in 2021, the budget was then reduced. The overall budget in the city budget was reduced to $36,000, in which we have now spent $45,392. And then he goes on to say that November the 10th of this year, NIPSCO came to City Hall for an inspection, which they found a small gas leak but not enough to cause an issue on the south side of the building. And Sue Downs led a pursuit to get a plumber to take care of that. And based on availability, they were able to get Wayne Heating and Air Conditioning and found a regulation and fix that. Anyway, Northern Indiana Public Service Company modified and raised its electricity rate effective January 1st, 2020. That's another reason. And also said that he contacted Wayne Heating and Cooling and said that the contractor for our system here at City Hall received an explanation that besides the increase from NIPSCO, the heating system and the AC system is quite old and original to the building. And they experienced numerous causes of repairs and breakdowns during the system and leading to repairs. So anyway, that was the basis of the explanation. And the proposed budget for 2022 has been raised already to $49,000, I guess, to cover any overages. And if I'm not mistaken, I also believe that NIPSCO is going to have some utility increases coming in 2022 in the spring. So, that might be another issue, with the utilities here. But all I wanted to do was just get an explanation why this bill went up so large. When you did ask somebody, they didn't know the reason. And there's always a reason. So Chris went back, did a due diligence, and found out what happened. Then I've also provided some cost reducing measures and energy reducing measures that hopefully they will implement and possibly save City Hall even some more money. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Nylam, on to the resolutions. Read our first resolution.
A resolution by title only recognizing Attorney James Meyer for the commitment and service to the Michigan City Common Council. And this is introduced by Mr. Mack, Mr. Dabney, Mr. Fitzpatrick, Ms. Jigus, Mr. Don Prespolinski, Mr. Simmons, Mr. Paul Prespolinski, Ms. Tillman, and Ms. Angie Deitch.
And do any of the authors want to comment? Councilman Paul Prespolinski?
Mr. President, I would like the suspension of the 96-hour rule because this was in the clerk's office a little bit late. I'm asking for unanimous consent.
Okay.
Oh, Ms. Nylam on the vote then? We need a second?
Second was Angie.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jigus, and Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay, on to comments from the authors, which would be all of us. Councilman Paul Prespolinski.
I'd like to read this in its entirety, please, into the record, if I may. Recognizing Attorney James Myers for his commitment and service to the Michigan City Common Council. Whereas Attorney James Myers has been representing the City of Michigan's City Common Council since 2007. And at the conclusion of calendar year 2021, his representation will come to a close. And whereas Attorney James Myers has always performed his duties and representation to the Common Council with the utmost dedication for the best interest of the council and the city and the residents, wherein and has always conducted himself with professionalism in the process. And whereas we wish to thank Attorney James Myers for his years of service and recognize his dedication representation of the Common Council. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Michigan City Common Council that the City of Michigan City, Indiana, hereby recognizes, commends, and thanks Attorney James Myers for his dedication representation of the Michigan City Common Council in service to the city of Michigan City. This resolution will be in full force and effect after the passage by the Michigan City Common Council and approval by the mayor. And I see the mayor has already signed it. So I would just like to say additionally, I believe it's 17 years of service to the Common Council. And James, I really appreciate it and saddens me that you're leaving our service. And I really want to thank you, and a lot of people in the city and in general don't realize how much information that Mr. Meyer has in all his years of experience. And I guess you can say that comes with the years, right? James, thank you very much.
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I just want to say, thanks, Jim. You've helped me out immensely over the years. I remember as a freshman council member, I was probably calling you 2 or 3 times a week. You know, I was a little froggish and was a little gung-ho trying to get things done. And then last year during 2020, when we were hit with COVID and all of the emergency orders and the shutdowns, I was probably calling you a couple times a day at that point. And you're always a phone call away and always, just one return message away. And I just want to say I appreciate the way you're always available for us, and thank you for your service.
Councilman Simmons.
Yes, I too would like to thank Jim for his years of service and say that it's been a pleasure working with you, Jim. You've been a real gentleman, and you've always been there to answer all of our legal questions. And I'd just like to wish you well in your endeavors, and a Merry Christmas and Godspeed.
Councilwoman Deitch.
The same. And, thank you, Jim. I've known you for a while now. And I appreciate not just your counsel as far as the city council, but some of our humorous conversations about other stuff. So I appreciate that. And maybe those will continue as we talk about other things in the region. But I appreciate your time and service that you've done over the years, and you've always just been super responsive to anything that I've ever requested, and I appreciate that. So thank you, and good luck on your future endeavors.
Councilwoman Jigas.
Yes, I don't want to repeat everything everyone said. Thank you very much. But what impresses me the most is the depth of knowledge that Jim has, especially regarding with environmental things, watersheds, waterways. So really impressed because I've seen him at different meetings, sanitary and swag. So yeah, impressed by your knowledge, and we're gonna miss you. So thank you for your service.
Councilman Prespolinski.
Next, Mr. Myers, and I said at the last meeting, Jim, appreciate everything you've done for the council. Appreciate all the information that you've provided me on a quick response. And my 2 years as president, you gave me a lot of good insight on what to do, what not to do, and you've always been there to help not only me, the other council members on whatever we needed, and we always got a straight, professional, knowledgeable answer. And I have to say, you are knowledgeable in very, very many different areas of law, and it amazes me. But appreciate everything you've done for me, and I wish you good luck in your future, and I hope you enjoy retirement. All right. Yep.
Councilman Dabney.
It seems like we're trying to make him cry. I don't know if he's gonna cry. You're not gonna cry? Okay, I'm gonna work at it. But anyway, I mean, obviously coming from all of us and coming from me, we want to thank you for your service. Like Sean mentioned, the telephone calls that you always answer, get right back to us and everything like that. We're very appreciative of your service. And as Angie said down there, Councilwoman Deitch, good luck in your future endeavors. And we're lucky to have you around. Thank you.
And I'll just close this saying, you've been the consummate professional the small time that I've met you, and I'm always impressed with people that carry themselves as true professionals, and you've done nothing but that, under fire or not under fire. And I love reading your back and forths with other lawyers of your ilk. I had to read a couple of them twice just to try to keep up with you guys, but that just even shows even more professionalism. So good luck in your retirement, and get some rest. Okay.
Thank all the council members for their kind words. And it's really been an honor for me to represent the council, not only this council, but previous ones, and to do my best to work on behalf, in essence, of the citizens of Michigan City, who elect all of you in order to carry out your responsibilities to help them. And all of you have my phone number, so
Yeah.
if there's an emergency question, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Wow.
Did you have something to say, Ms. Nyla?
I just wanted to thank him also. We've been together all these years, all the things we've done, how many councils we've been through. And it's been an honor working with you. Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion?
Yes.
We had a motion to, we didn't have a,
Motion to adopt.
there you go.
Second.
You have to tell him, Jim.
Do we need public comment too?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, we can do public comment. Any comments from the public? Comments from the public? Comments from the public? We've got one online? Thank you, sir.
Tommy.
This is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. And I also want to wish Attorney Jim Meyer a happy retirement and his dedication and servitude to the city. And that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Council has made, do we have more comments from the council? We did a motion in the second. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jigus,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
and Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, would you go on to our second resolution?
A resolution by title only, a resolution increasing and decreasing certain appropriations within the budget of the Michigan City Transit Department of the General Fund 1001 for the year 2021 in Michigan City, Indiana, and that's introduced by Mr. Dabney.
And does the author have anything to add?
Simple explanation. All we're doing is transferring funds within the same department from one fund to another. I know some people get confused sometimes when we hear these transfers that it could be coming out of a riverboat or something of that sort. That is not what it is. It's just money within the budget moving from one fund to another. And just wanted to make that clear for the public.
Are there any comments from the public? Comments from the public? Comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council?
Motion to approve.
Support.
There's been a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jigus,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
and Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay, well, Ms. Nyla, can you go on to our second resolution, please?
A resolution by title only, amending resolution number 4813 to comply with the State Board of Accounts Directive 2021-3 regarding premium pay under the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. And this is introduced by Ms. Deitch, Mr. Paul Prespolinski, Mr. Don Prespolinski, and Mr. Dabney.
And do any of the authors have anything to add this evening? No? Councilwoman Deitch?
Yeah, so the State Board of Accounts had a directive that talked about specifically being audited about the compliance for the premium pay that we passed 2 months ago, I think. and it had to be based on hourly wages, and it could not exceed $13 per hour increase, which it did not for any of our employees. The only two items that we had to deal with were elected officials, which was not called out in any documentation prior to that directive coming out. So this is just to correct what we did and to make sure we had the appropriate calculations for the premium pay.
Any other comments from the office? Councilman Paul Pretzwell?
With Angie's comments, that it's very, it was like last minute from the DLG on their and what they sent on concerning the pay, and to get this thing done and rolling. I think it was done expeditiously, and that I think that some articles that were written or the submission on pay were unfair, and that this has been resolved and we're moving forward. So I don't think anybody was getting anything that they weren't entitled to. Now, with that being, trying to explain it, is that the thing that had to be visited was that, as Councilwoman Deitch said, is that it had to be in an hourly format, not a lump sum. So it's one of the, it's just a piece of the documentation that we have to do. Thank you.
Any other comments, Councilman Dabney?
Yeah, real simple, just to put it out there in the public. As Councilwoman Deitch said, the premium payments were made a couple of months ago. We got the directive December 1st, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why we had to go back and correct. It wasn't anything done nefariously or anything like that. Just wanted to make sure everybody knows that we made the payment 2 months ago, and then we got the directive on what needed to happen in December. So.
Okay, any comments from the public? Comments from the public? Online comments from the public? No? Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council. Councilwoman Deitch?
One other thing too I would like to share is that the reason why we were able to act on it so fast and correct it is that originally when we were working on that that resolution and that ordinance, Controller Hoffmaster, we was actually doing it hourly. So she had everything because this impacted not only Michigan City, but many cities across the state. But because Controller Hoffmaster already had those calculations earlier, because that was the original intent was to use it that way. And then we ran into some CARES Act issues that were prohibitive. So that's why we changed it. So I just want to say that we probably acted on it faster than some of the other cities because we already had the calculations versus others that are still working through it into the nth hour. So just appreciate the fact that she already had all that worked out.
Councilman Dabney?
Oh, I'm sorry. Still on.
Oh, okay.
I make a motion to adopt.
Support.
There's been a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Ms. Deitch?
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski?
Aye.
Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Jagus?
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski?
Aye.
Mr. Dabney?
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
And Mr. Matt?
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Alrighty, Ms. Nyla, will you read our third resolution this evening, please?
A resolution by title only approving and authorizing the 2022 to 2024 union contract between the Michigan City Firefighters Local 475 and the City of Michigan City, Indiana. And this is introduced by Mr. Don Prespolinski, Mr. Paul Prespolinski, and Mr. Dabney.
Yeah, and Mr. President, I'd like to read this in its entirety.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because I'm really, like I said earlier, I'm really excited about this, and I'm really proud of the work that everybody did getting this put together and having the firefighters accept it. With that being said, it begins, whereas there is a labor agreement currently in effect between the Michigan City Firefighters Local 475 and the City of Michigan City. And whereas pursuant to IC 36-8-3-3, the Common Council is vested with the authority of establishing the compensation for members in the Michigan City Fire Department. And whereas there have been successful negotiations between the Labor Relations Committee of the Common Council, the Board of Public Works and Safety, and the Michigan City Firefighters Local 475 to formulate certain changes and modifications in wages and language to labor relations contract, all of which have been incorporated into the contract, which is attached hereto as Exhibit A. And whereas the Michigan City Firefighters Local 475 have advised the Labor Relations Committee that their union voted to accept the 2022-2024 contract attached hereto as Exhibit A. And whereas the Labor Relations Committee recommends the Common Council to approve and authorize the 2022-2024 contract attached hereto as Exhibit A. And now therefore be resolved, the City Council of Michigan City, Indiana, LaPorte County follows the aforementioned whereas paragraphs is hereby incorporated as though fully set forth in these resolving clauses. The Common Council hereby approves the financial terms of the 22-2024 union contract between the Michigan City Firefighters Local 475 and the City of Michigan City, Indiana, which is attached hereto as Exhibit A. And this resolution shall be in full force and effect after passage by the City Council and approval by the mayor.
Councilman Fitzpatrick? Any other comments from any of the office? Councilman Paul Prespolinski?
I would like to say that I believe in the collective bargaining process, and that I think that in this experience for myself, it was very tedious, and that I believe that it's a good contract for the fire department and the city. I think that was both parties met in the middle of the road, and I think that it's going to help the fire department at the low end and the top end to keep experienced people there and for recruitment. And I think that everybody's intent, I mean that from the bargaining committee and from the firefighters, was looking at that issue to make a package that would inspire people to stay and inspire people to come here. So I think that I really think it was a groundbreaking agreement myself. So I want to thank everybody involved, and I think that I'm not only thanking the team, I'm thanking the firefighters, because we had a lot of intense meetings and getting to the point of getting that contract out. So I think that I feel that my time was well spent, and that I served the citizens of the city and the employees to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Councilman Dabney.
Yeah, real quick, and I concur with what Councilman Don and Paul Prespolinski said in regards to the contract and getting that thing finished. And we really came into this whole ordeal just, basically trying to give our fire department what we can without breaking the budget. We went in there with a real simple attitude, and we worked with those guys and came up with a real nice product. And like I said, I concur with both Don and Paul Prespolinski said, and kind of glad it's over.
Okay, any comments from the public?
Andrew Dallas, Michigan City Fire Department negotiating team member. I'd like to thank the council for everything they did. This negotiations, I know they did a lot of research, probably the most research any council's done. So I'd like to publicly thank council members Paul Prespolinski, Don Prespolinski, and Mr. Dabney for everything you did, along with your team. I know myself and Judd Rose were with Yvonne, city controller, quite a bit running numbers. We'd like to thank her for everything she did and the input, and then everyone on your team. Once again, we'd really like to thank you guys for everything you did.
Any other comments from the public? Comments from the public? Online comments? Nope. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council? Councilman Don? No.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Jiggis. Aye. Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Mr. Matt
Aye.
and Ms. Deitch.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, can you read our fourth resolution?
A resolution by title only requesting mayor to submit a request an additional appropriation in the budget of the Riverboat Fund to provide funding for sidewalks. And this is introduced by Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
And does the author have anything to add?
No, I think that it's kind of self-explanatory in that I don't really want to wait till the next year budget cycle, because I think we need to get money appropriated so that the city engineer can identify those sidewalks and get his program going. So I think that we need to move forward. That's my take on it. Now, if you don't want to have money for sidewalk repair, then don't vote for it. Simple as that. Thank you.
Are there any comments from the public? Comments from the public? Any online comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council? Any comments from the council? Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
I need a motion.
I make a motion.
Oh, yeah. Is there a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Support.
It's been a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Jiggis.
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Mr. Matt.
Aye.
Ms. Deitch.
Aye.
And Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
All right, Ms. Nyla, can you read our first ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance of first reading by title only, amending ordinances 4549, number 4555, and 4556, commonly known as the 2021 ordinance for appointed officials and employees, 2021 fire salary ordinance, and the 2021 police salary ordinance to comply with State Board of Accounts Directive number 2021-3 regarding premium pay under the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. And this is introduced by Ms. Deitch, Mr. Paul Prespolinski, Mr. Don Prespolinski, and Mr. Dabney.
And do the authors have anything to add this evening? Councilwoman Deitch?
I do have a question, Jim. This is in reference to the resolution we passed to make the corrections for the wait, this is a different one, isn't it? I'm trying to make sure. Yeah, this is the State Board of Accounts one, but I have a question. Do we have to have a formal public hearing at a special meeting at all to do the amending of these with the salaries at all?
No,
And can we pass all three? Can we pass all three tonight?
my understanding is that the State Board of Accounts, DOJF, wants the city to file these before the end of the year. In order for that to occur, you would have to do all three readings tonight.
So that's
So I
okay.
would say, in essence, somebody would move to declare an emergency and
Okay.
request all three readings, assuming
And I can do that
at
now.
least 6 of you vote for it, then it
All
would
right.
be okay.
And I can do that now, right?
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure we said it out loud. So I move that we declare an emergency to do first, second, and third reading tonight on this ordinance.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Ms. Jacobs? Aye. Mr. Paul Prespolinski?
Aye.
Mr. Dabney?
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Mr. Mack?
Aye.
Ms. Deitch?
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski?
Aye.
And Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, can you read, it was still on first reading, so it's
Do I have to
comments from
read
the
all
public
three?
now, right? Comments from the public? Comments from the public? Online comments from the public? There are none. Public comment is now closed. Comments from the council? Seeing that there are none, Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please. Second reading first, right?
An ordinance on second reading by title only, amending ordinances 4549, 4555, and 4556, commonly known as the 2021 salary ordinance for appointed officials and employees, the 2021 fire salary ordinance, and the 2021 police salary ordinance to comply with State Board of Accounts Directive number 2021-3 regarding premium pay under the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. And this is introduced by Ms. Deitch, Mr. Paul Prespolinski, Mr. Don Prespolinski, and Mr. Dabney.
Any comments from the authors? Any comments from the public? Comments from the public? Comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council? Seeing that there are none, Ms. Nyla, will you read our first ordinance on third reading by title?
An ordinance on third reading by title only, amending ordinances 4549, 4555, and 4556, commonly known as the 2021 salary ordinance for appointed officials and employees, 2021 fire salary ordinance, and the 2021 police salary ordinance to comply with State Board of Accounts Directive 2021-3 regarding premium pay under the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. And this is introduced by Ms. Deitch, Mr. Paul Prespolinski, Mr. Don Prespolinski, and Mr. Dabney.
And are there any comments from the authors? Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Online comments? No. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council. Councilwoman
Motion
Deitch.
to,
Move to approve.
is second.
There's been a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla,
Was that Brant that said first or Angie? Okay, thank you. And then Angie, right? All right, thank you.
okay, Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
and Ms. Jagus. Aye. We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, will you read our second ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, prohibiting the use of.
What reading? Was that the third reading?
Yeah, we did third.
Yeah, we did all three. An ordinance on first reading by title only. prohibiting the use of MVH funds for the constructing or capital repairs of streets within the boundaries of city TIF district. And this is introduced by Mr. Paul Preston.
And does the author have anything to add?
Yes, I would like to read this in its entirety, if I may. Prohibiting the use of MVH funds for construction or capital repairs on streets within the boundaries of a city TIF district. Whereas in the past, funds in the city's motor vehicle highway fund have been used to construct and repair streets within the boundaries of the city in various tax increment financing districts. And whereas, based on PASER inspection and scoring result, it is evident that there are numerous streets in those parts of the city outside the boundaries of the TIF districts that are in very poor and dilapidated condition. And whereas the Common Council finds that there are insufficient MVH funds available to repair or reconstruct all of those streets, including those within the TIF districts, within a reasonable period of time. And under Indiana law, TIF funds can be used to fund constructing, reconstruction, or making other capital improvements to streets within the TIF district's boundaries. And that the Common Council believes that in the best interest of the city and its citizens, that TIF funds and not MVH funds be used for those purposes, so that MVH funds can be used for needed street repairs in the areas of the city outside of the TIF districts. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Michigan City, Indiana, that other than to pay for contracts that have already been awarded based on the use of MVH funds, no MVH funds shall be expended to pay for any repair, reconstruction, replacement, or construction of any street located within the boundaries of a TIF district without the prior expressed written approval of the Common Council for any such expenditure. So with that being said, I want to also make a comment that this year we were dropped by 20% on our MVH funds. So we get $1.5 million a year. $750,000 of that money goes to fund the street department. This year, the other $750,000 was used to pave streets. At this time, I don't know how much was carried over, but we used an exponential amount of money to do the Cleveland Ave project, which was in excess of $350,000 of MVH funds. So when you multiply that with the state grant, which they grant 100%, that's $750,000 or $700,000 that could have been used in the neighborhoods for paving. That's why I'm reintroducing this ordinance in a different form. And I hope that everybody can support it because as my result of my investigation and the information that I gave you prior this year in July, I believe, on the Y-22 form, the TIF districts, we had a tax settlement. The city of Michigan City got $8.6 million. The TIF districts got $4.5 million. Almost over 50% of the tax settlement went to the TIF districts. People need to know that. And that's why I'm trying to educate people on this, because the neighborhoods are suffering. The TIF districts take the tax out of their districts for a purpose, and the purpose being to improve those districts. So then that extra money in the MVH should go to the citizens of Michigan City, because those people, yes, they're paying that TIF, but right now in the TIF fund, I believe there's in excess of $12 million for all the combined TIFs in the city of Michigan City. But the main thing is this, is that we are dropped 20% this year. So they're just, the way I look at it, they're taking paving away from every neighborhood in the city of Michigan City when they should be focusing on a program that they do the paving in those wards and they do the paving in the TIF districts and get it over with. And I've had many discussions about this. So here's my take on it with an email from Mr. Myers. I'm not in response to an email I guess he got from someone. I'm not aware of anyone suggesting that non-capital routine maintenance should be paid by the RC, which is what took place in Munster. That's a whole different thing. They got stung. I think they did some repairs to a park or something, and so they got stung on it. We haven't been doing that. On the other hand, I believe capital improvement, repairs, and otherwise can be paid with TIF funds, thus the insertion of capital in the ordinance, capital projects. And that's what a street repaving, regrinding, repair is, a capital project. So hopefully everybody can support this. And if the explanation isn't good enough, I think we had a lengthy discussion earlier in the year, and I withdrew that ordinance. And I think that since we're getting the MVH fund reduced by 20%, and that's what Yvonne said, that, because I asked her about it, what's coming from the DOJ, that it's being reduced. So 20% is a lot of money out of the fund. So I think that hopefully you can support it and we can get this thing passed, and then the city engineer can start working on his repaving program. Thank you.
Next ordinance. Oh, comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Online comments from the public? Yes, yeah.
Hey, this is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. I feel it's long overdue that the Common Council impose a wheel tax on the residents. The wheel tax, and it goes 100% to roads. We're not asking everybody to turn over their IRAs or their 401ks. It's a very nominal fee that they assess when you go get your license or get your registrations renewed. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Seeing that there are none, comments from the council. Councilman Dabney?
Yeah. And I understand the explanation that Councilman Paul Prespolinski gave, but I disagree with this in terms of not allowing motor vehicle funds to be paid in the TIF districts. I was going to have a map tonight that would show you the TIF districts and the actual streets and the neighborhoods that are in TIF district. I recall us, like I said, we had this argument before, and this stretches TIF district, the North TIF district stretches down to 9th Street, 8th Street, and then 7th, 6th, all the way back up toward the boulevard. On the other, up toward City Hall. On the other side of the boulevard, there's Cook Street, Union Street. It works over to Fur and other, but I'm going to have a map that'll bring them in a more clear picture, because the motor vehicle fund, this is funded through the state by fuel taxes that everybody pays. Everybody pays fuel taxes. Vehicle registrations are also put into the motor vehicle fund. So we're asking people to pay taxes into the motor vehicle fund, but then you can't use it in your neighborhood. This also happens on the south end of town, Southgate. This will be places like Larkspur Lane, Ohio Street. Like I said, I can't recall all the streets, Village Road, and a couple of others that are in there, that we would be saying, no, we want the redevelopment to pave your street, even though you still pay your taxes into the motor vehicle fund through gas taxes and everything like that. So we're excluding those people. I do understand he's talking about the drop in what we get from the MVH fund. But my take on it is that these people also pay their taxes into the MVH fund. And we're telling them that, no, we can't use that to pave your roads. We want to force our redevelopment commission to do so. And on the other hand, what if redevelopment is doing what they're supposed to be doing? Redevelopment, bringing companies here where they pay for the infrastructure, the pipe and the water and everything in the ground, and they're doing a lot of it, and they have all their money tied up. So now they would say, well, we don't have the money in order to be able to give you to pave roads. I think that we could work with them and ask them for funds to help out and things like that, but to put it in an ordinance to say, no, we can't use the MVH fund, I think is not the way to go. Because once again, I'll just keep saying this over and over. Everybody in the city pays gas tax, but then we're going to tell some of those people that we can't use those state funds to pave your road.
Councilwoman Dyke?
What I'll say is that, the Cleveland Road project last year, I think, left a sour taste in several of our kind of tainted. It was a different situation in how it was handled. And I think we all agreed that it was a lot of money that we spent out there and how it was divvied up. But one thing I will say is that I believe that we might have an opportunity with the infrastructure bill to get some additional funding for roads and all of that over the next several years. So I think that's an opportunity. I know that not all of the TIFs generate money yet, and I wouldn't want to hinder any residents because of that. But I think there's going to be some opportunities with federal funding that will come to the state that will give us hopefully an increase to be able to do more of that here soon. So same comments from before. But I just think that the way we went about it last year, that we talked about it a lot. And I think it was just an anomaly in how the Cleveland Ave. We knew it needs to be done though. And the redevelopment commission did participate in, paying for some of that. So I like just having that partnership and doing it that way. And also, just identifying the worst streets and getting them done versus putting it in the legislative manner. But I understand how we got to this point too. So thank you.
Councilwoman Jigas?
Yes, I agree with a lot of the points that were made. Here's the thing, as distasteful as the Cleveland Avenue project was, you have to admit, most of the city uses it. Whereas, if we have some dead-end street somewhere, it may be in poor condition, but, it doesn't get as much use. So you have to kind of think about that too. And I think blocking the TIF districts out of the funding is really going to make a nightmare for prioritizing projects. I think we need to leave it up to the engineer and put it in, streets in order of how much they need. And as Angie said, like possibly find additional funding for that.
Councilman Don Prespolinski.
Yeah, with all the discussions being thrown around here, and looking at what I'm going to find out is how much money there are in each separate TIF districts and how much, would be available for blacktopping. And then I'm going to ask Yvonne, with the 20% reduction in the MVH fund, what that actually equates to see how much money in it. Because I don't know if we have that answer. So I don't know if Councilman Paul Prespolinski has those
Yeah, it's
Figures.
$150,000 that is gonna be minus this coming year.
Okay,
That's 20%. We
okay,
get 1.5 million.
okay. So then I'm still gonna investigate how much is, each TIF area has, you know,
I can tell you.
as a, in their bank right now. So, I don't know, does anybody have that information?
I
Okay.
do.
300,000.
I'm
First
pulling it up.
question, 300,000 is what we're gonna be minus. And what I spoke too soon. We're gonna be minus 300,000 in the MVH at 20%. Cause we get 1.5 mil, that was what we got last year. Cause 750 went to the, run the street department and the other 750 went for paving.
Councilwoman Deitch, you still looking for?
Oh, I have it right here.
You got it?
I'm gonna pull it up. All right, so I can tell you how much cash we have on hand, and let me say this before I even share this. The redevelopment commission has several projects and several in the hopper that may require some state tax credits and will require some funding and then some additional monies. And we just approved the betterments for the South Shore project as well, the NICTY project, so that we had nicer aesthetics. So the operating, let me go to the Southside TIF has about 7.8 million. I'm just going to give you approximate numbers. 7.8 million, and we do this at each of our redevelopment commission meetings, so it's public record. The debt reserve account for the Southside TIF is 336,000. The North End TIF has about 3.6 million, but the Northeast TIF has $109,000 in it. So we have a total of about $12 million in the TIF districts combined. Those are the assets that we have.
Any other comments from the council?
If I may.
Yeah, Councilman.
You know, I wanna say this to the general public. I was elected to represent the second ward, and I looked at the Pazer study, and the second ward has been ignored, and that's why this piece of legislation is here. And just remember this, is that your argument for not getting work done in a TIF district should go to the redevelopment commission, because that's what that money, what is that purpose of that TIF district, okay? To improve the area that it encompasses, all right? And I will say that I had discussions with Jim Myers on this exact point. And that's why the language was changed for capital projects. And I don't have a problem. And it also says that in the legislation that if we pass empowering resolution for the TIF, then we can go ahead with it. But just remember this, especially the at-large members, that you represent in all the city. And I want you to go look at that Pazer study that the engineer has developed. I'm not asking for no TIF money or to redraw the TIF districts, which can be done, which has been done in the past. That's how all that lighting went down to South Franklin Street. The map was redrawn and that project was done, and then the map was amended. But my thing is this, I got to represent the second ward, and it doesn't take a genius if you go and look at some of these streets. Some of these streets have got gaping cracks in them over an inch wide. They're past the point of being tarred and they call that crack seal. They're past the point of that. And something needs to be done. So I guess this is the way we have to stimulate either the mayor or the TIF districts, because here's what I'm going to say to you. I don't remember any paving project being proposed before I got on the city council for the last 14 years or 17 years. Okay. To keep their money doing it in the TIF districts. So I looked at a street, and that's called Washington Street. And I believe that street is over 14 years old when it was redone. And let me say this, they sure got their money out of it, because they have not tarred and sealed that road. And that's one of the roads. So it's a main, but listen, it's a main intersector. So now when you cut off all these streets, what's going to happen to it? I'm trying to think proactive, all right, and not stick my head in the sand. There's got to be some heavy duty paving being done. Thank you.
Councilman Dabney.
So the comment was led off almost like a payback to the other wards because the second ward is not being looked out for. I wish that the first ward had all the greatest PASER ratings where we didn't need paving. So if we were just going by PASER ratings and you say there was no paving in the second ward, then it means the PASER ratings are saying that those weren't not needed. Well, that's what you just said.
Let's we will go back to our council rules of 2 comments, 1 comment for 5 minutes, 1 comment of the second comment for 3 minutes. We shall not go into a legislative argument session here. Would you like to finish your comments, Councilman Dabney?
And I would like for the first ward to have the best PASER ratings where we would not need any paving. And I mean, the comment was actually made, correct me if I'm wrong, or I'm giving you to tell me if I am wrong with what I'm saying. So this is, if you jump in there, it's not interrupting you because I'm asking you to. The statement was that by using the PASER ratings, the second ward was being ignored. Did he not say that? That's the way I heard it. Okay, I'm sorry. But it just sounded at the very beginning, he said, the reason this is put on because the second ward is being not looked out for. But then he said we use the PASER rating. So
are there any other comments from the council? Councilman Don Prespolinski.
I think this is my second comment.
Yep, this is your second comment.
To reflect on the PASER rating, I don't have a lot of confidence behind that PASER rating because, I got pictures of the PASER rating and we all got the book. And you go out and you look at these streets and I can't justify what these pictures are telling me versus what I see in person. To me, it might help a little bit, but it makes not a lot of sense to me with this whole PASER rating system. Councilman Prespolinski's complaining about Washington Street. I live on Gardena Street. My street was paved, 11 years ago. And there's spider web cracks, all over it. So, could it be repaved? I'm sure it could be on the PASER list. So that's my take on that PASER rating. I don't have a lot of confidence behind it. I think you could ride around and get, 10 miles of blacktopping that has to be done. All right, and just my take on the TIF district versus the MVH fund. All right, the TIF areas where that money, where the taxes are collected at, are used in that area. It's not used over in the 5th Ward. Well, there's some, whatever area it's generated in, it's used in that area. We all know that. And that's just like the MVH fund. So I pay gas taxes and, the MVH fund, the taxes out of that. What I'm trying to say is that money there, the TIF, then I guess the argument is then the TIF money stays in the TIF districts. Well, why shouldn't the TIF money then be used throughout the whole city, like Councilman Przybylowski's saying? And no, I'm just saying, the point is, with the MVH fund and the taxes you generate there, that should be used throughout the whole city. Okay? The other argument is, with the TIF money, if you're going to use the MVH money through the whole city, then you should be able to use the TIF money. But I know you can't do that. I understand that. It's just the use of the money and how we're trying to use it and make sense out of it. I agree that the MVH money possibly shouldn't be used in the TIF districts. But then again, you also have to look at how much money is in those particular TIF areas and what type of work has to be done in those areas. Because I can't see that we don't, all right, 30 seconds, that we get this work done over here. Okay, but since there's no money in the TIF district, that they can't get their streets taken care of. I think that's unfair to those folks too. So that's where I'm at right now in this whole process. Thank you.
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Oh yeah, I had a question. I don't know if the engineer is watching or if this gets to him. Maybe I'll give him a call. But I would like to know what the total mileage of roads we have in the city are and what it would cost to repave the entire city once and then keep up from that point. Because I guess we'll be able to differentiate what are the more traveled roads and which ones are falling into disrepair at a higher rate or sooner. Thinking about myself as a ward representative, I'm not gonna knock Councilman Przybylowski for fighting for his ward. And I know on my side of town, there are a lot of streets that have been paved because there are a lot of larger projects that have been going on in the TIF area that were, definitely instrumental in getting the roads to the condition where they are now. And some are not in as great shape in the ward, and some have been chip sealed. So it's all of the degrees of the PACER ratings in the area. But I'm not sure where I am on the TIF should be used only in the TIFs or the MVH shouldn't be used in the TIFs, because if those funds are there for the redevelopment and they're not in the major projects going on with the redevelopment, I don't think it's unprecedented for one TIF to give money to another TIF to maybe work on some projects, or if there's an offset that can be made for the MVH in one area to allow the TIF to help with a project in another area. So I think there's a way to get this done where no area of the city is neglected or feels as if it's not being kept up with as much as others based on whether it's TIF or not. I just think it's probably something that we need to have more discussions on. And I'm not saying that this ordinance shouldn't go through or it should. I think that if we do let it go through, and if there's a situation where it's not working or it's unfavorable, we can always amend it or repeal it. Thank you.
And I'll just quickly wrap up that I'm a fan of the fake PACER ratings. It's an orderly process that has matching funds, and we would not get those matching funds using the TIF district. So we would be paying full retail. We wouldn't get wholesale. And you can actually eat up, large cities nowadays are really, really eating up huge portions of their budgets trying to achieve old school desirability on paving. And, everybody's going to have to rethink their what good looks like. on that. There's a lot of needs in our city. There are a lot of developments coming to our city. The things that TIF districts are doing throughout all other regions of the country, especially those with a casino, many times comes to higher priorities than just constantly paving roads at full price. The Paisley rating from all of the study and talk we've been doing is not the greatest vehicle, but when compared to the other option of the redevelopment committee trying to come to their conclusions of which roads are in most needs and each ward, coming to it, that just gives me a vision of ugly. So it's a difficult conversation, but I think it's difficult everywhere. With that, Ms. Nyla, can we go on to the third ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, an ordinance establishing salaries for the fire department of the city of Michigan City for the calendar year 2022. And this is introduced by Don Przewalski, Mr. Paul Przewalski, and Mr. Dabney.
And do the authors have anything to add, Councilman?
Mr. President, just as the title of it says, all we're doing is the ordinance to establish the salaries for the fire department for the calendar year of 2022 in conjunction with the new contract that has been agreed upon between the firefighters local 475 and the city.
Okay, Councilman Dabney?
Yeah, and I'm gonna ask that we suspend the rules and do all 3 readings tonight. And
Second.
There's been a
I
motion.
make a motion. I was just getting ready to explain it.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, and the reason we need to do that because we have to, the certified salary that they use to calculate their pension has changed, and that has to be taken care of by December 31st. And so this is a big push that we need to do that now. So that's why I was looking to suspend the rules and make sure we get this done tonight so that our city controller can go ahead and put in that certified pay.
Yeah, and if I may, Mr. President, as Councilman Dabney said, it's a big push to get this done tonight, but it's the only thing that we can do in order to have all 3 readings this evening. It's the right thing to do, is to pass this ordinance so that the city controller can get this taken care of and get the certified salary set. Or that's how the pensions are based off the certified salary. So that has to be done by the December 31st. Okay.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Bryant made a motion, Paul
Okay.
seconded.
Second.
Oh, there's been a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla on the vote, please.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch. Aye. Mr. Don Przewalski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jigus,
Aye.
and Mr. Paul Przewalski.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, would you read the same ordinance on second reading by title only?
An ordinance on second reading by title only, an ordinance establishing salaries for the fire department of the city of Michigan City for the calendar year 2022. And this is introduced by Mr. Don Przewalski, Mr. Paul Przewalski, and Mr. Dabney.
And do the authors have anything to add this evening? No. Are there any comments from the public? Comments from the public? Online comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council? No comments from the council. Ms. Nyla, would you read the same ordinance on third reading by title?
An ordinance on third reading by title only, an ordinance establishing salaries for the fire department of the city of Michigan City for the calendar year 2022. And this is introduced by Mr. Don Przewalski, Mr. Paul Przewalski, and Mr. Dabney.
Are there any comments from the authors?
Just motion to approve.
Got to do public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No comments from the authors. Any comments from the public? Comments from the public? Online comments from the public? If there are none, comments from the council?
Motion to approve.
There's been a motion to approve. Do we have a second and a second? Ms. Nyla on the vote, please.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Matt,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jagus,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
and Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Right, Ms. Nyla, can we read the first ordinance on second reading by title only?
An ordinance on second reading by title only, amending municipal code section 2-457 commission on the social status of African American males. And this is introduced by Ms. Tillman.
I move the table until our next council meeting.
There's been a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla on the vote, please.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jagus,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
and Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay, Ms. Nyla, can we read our first ordinance on third reading by title only?
An ordinance on third reading by title only, amending ordinance number 4598, commonly known as the 2022 salary ordinance to increase the annual salary for the position of city arborist. And this is introduced by Ms. Jagus.
And does the author have anything to add?
Yes, we discussed this the last 2 meetings and, we still think that the best route for the city would be to get a professional arborist. It's an important part of our city. It's not just someone that comes and trims trees. It's somebody that writes grants, that gets out to the community, gets out to the schools, runs events, runs Arbor Day, does a lot of things for the city, manages the inventory. So it's not something that can be kind of pushed out. And it's really an important part. And I got us a little bit of a slice today of this week to see how much people appreciate trees, because I was part of a little project we did with the tree board, which I'll talk about in my council comments at the end. But I would urge everybody to please increase this salary so that it's a professional person that can be hired for this, and we will have a competent member of our city. Thanks.
And do we have any comments from the public?
This thing work? Yeah. Laura Henderson, 510 East 9th Street. I'm also a member of the tree board. I think we really need to have a good salary for this position to attract decent candidates and so that we can retain a qualified candidate. In the time, maybe 5 or 6 years that I've been on the tree board, there's been a constant overturn of city foresters or arborists. And I was especially sorry to lose our last one, Jessica Ordinance, who really did a wonderful job. The position, I think last meeting, you heard the job description, and just very briefly, this is a position that requires a lot of management skills, a lot of education skills, not to mention forestry skills. It's not a small position. It requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of understanding, and a lot of skills to do it well. Trees are a very important part of a good city. They provide so many environmental and just plain practical benefits that are often overlooked because they're taken for granted. They should not be taken for granted. We need a really good, qualified arborist to be an advocate for trees and for the betterment of this city. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? online?
This is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. I want to remind the council that it is the duty of the mayor to fill all vacancies that are open within the city. That's by state statute. I know I wouldn't be a very good forester or tree board member. I take after my grandpa Watts in Arkansas. He's the man. I'm not shy about firing up a chainsaw. He's the type of guy who'd rather cut down a tree than look at it. So that's all I have to say about that. I guess you need to raise the salary so you get a good forester so he can fill that vacancy. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Any other comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Comments from the councilman. Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. I still don't support this at this time. I do believe that this is an important position. And I do believe that the proper process would have been for the increase to have gone through during the budgetary process or at any time during the tenure of the previous arborist. The current administrator or the previous administrator could have came to the council at any time looking to retain these individuals that were so great to be the arborist or keep them if that was the desire. It doesn't seem like that's something that's been a desire of any mayor or a thing that since I've been around. So I would like to, if there is a candidate that comes forth or if there's someone that the city is looking to approach or hires and at that time they want to increase the salary, I'll be all for it at that point. To just do it now and say, okay, let's see if we attract someone. It just doesn't make sense to me and I'm not going to be in support of that. Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Councilman Don Prespolinski?
Yeah. For Councilwoman Zegas, so if there's a person, if this is increased to $65,000, the person that's going to take this job is going to be a certified arborist. No questions asked, no particular experience doing this, doing that. They're going to be a licensed, educated, certified arborist. Okay.
Councilwoman Jenkins?
I did want to mention one more thing. So we have had Tree City USA designation for 21 years in a row. And LaPorte is trying to get their first year in a row. So I feel that we really did have an edge over them for 21 years, and if that's going to stimulate you to say, yes, we need a professional person in this position, I hope that helps out. Thanks.
Any other comments from the council? Councilman Paul Prespolinski?
I got to ask a question here to clarify the record for myself. At the last meeting, was the member of the tree board advocating to increase his salary so he could take the position? Is that correct? Is that what you were advocating, Mr. Wolf? You said it, right? Publicly.
This is what the original
Could you take the mic, please?
Yeah.
I just wondering.
Good evening, Mick Wolf, tree board president. That was this discussion. The original salary, this year's salary was $52,000. It was defunded down to $44,000, $4,000 above poverty level. In the mayor's research and the research that was done on the wage salary, the average forester was taken up to $65,000. That was what was proposed. And that's what the tree board thought that was going to be offered to a candidate at that time. We did not know that Paul, that you decreased the salary for the forester. That's why we're coming to you, so we can just keep with what was originally proposed by the mayor back in July when we started doing the looking around for an arborist. Yes, I did put an application in to be the forester because I have all the qualifications. I'm probably overqualified, but that's just, I'm looking to broaden my horizons. If there is a candidate that is more attractive, then more powers to be with that person. I'm just one, I go through the same process that everybody else would. I think after 20 years and being in the business that I have the experience to do this job.
Okay, well, with that being said, and with at least you're telling us straight, is that no one came forward when we, sliced budget. Not even the mayor, when we did what we were told to do by the mayor. So I don't think it's fair at this time because I don't see any letter from the mayor advocating this.
Paul, I sat there for 35 minutes when we discussed in the budget finance. You never brought it up to me. So how do we know? I'm not a well-experienced person when it comes down to budget and finance. We talked about it. We talked about several other different things. You could have brought it up. We were just going with the status quo.
All right.
Defunding it was a real shock. And to us, I still cannot fathom that you would try to defund that position by almost 16%. It should have been up just to keep status quo with other people.
Wait a second, Mr. Wolf. We're past the budget process, and the budget process is that the mayor, what I'm getting at is the mayor never said one word about he had a problem with that, even at our hearings when we passed it. And that's the point I'm making. So I think that I would like to see some criteria of what the positions, going to entail and things like that. But I'm not making excuses for what I did. I did what I thought was the right thing to do. There was nobody in that position, but I'll tell you right now, I don't think it should be 65 or 62. All right. I really don't. I really, really don't. Thank you.
Councilman Fitzpatrick?
Thank you, Mr. President. So just to clarify for the record, a proposal is just that, a proposal. It's not an assumption. You don't assume that a figure that is proposed by someone is something that's actually going to be attained at some point. As the chair of the Finance Committee, we went line by line with each salary. And like Councilman Prespolinski said, no one advocated for arborists and said, this is a position that we have to have. This is a position that we have to fund. This is a position that we have to fund to this degree. Those conversations never came up. There was no one in a position. We did what we thought was fiscally responsible at that time. And like I said before, if there comes a time where there is an arborist that is put in place with the qualification and experience to get us in our Tree City USA status and maintain it, I would be the first one to advocate for let's increase that salary to maintain or retain that person's employment. But just putting numbers out there and saying, okay, if we build it, they will come. That doesn't always apply. And I don't subscribe to that. Thank you.
Councilwoman Gis?
Well, one more comment. So how are we going to attract this quality individual if the salary is $44,000 a year? This business does not run that way. You don't advertise a job for super low salary and someone might come and say, well, if you double that, I'll come work for you. That is not how that works. You have to advertise for the price you're going to pay. So I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Councilwoman Deitch?
Yeah, and what I will say is with a licensed arborist, I think she shared that information, but I mean, it's true. Most arborists do carry certifications, a degree, and $44,000 is isn't that what we're paying secretaries right now, our clerical folks? So I know that salary is not justifiable. And I think you gave us some averages up to 80-something thousand dollars at the last one.
And I did send out the job description. It was multiple pages long, which the mayor helped work on.
I do have a question. Does LaPorte, did you mention LaPorte had an arborist or not?
Well, they're applying for Tree City first time this year. That's all I know.
Okay, because we used to share an arborist with them. But our neighbors to the west, didn't you? There was one of them, I think, that we said, but all I know is that $44,000 is not enough money. And that's a fact for an arborist. I'm not sure how, I think that we've lucked out that we've had spouses and people that were relocating and we were able to get an arborist in previous times. And that was really qualified. But prior to that, I think they weren't truly certified professionals like what we're seeking to do now. So I would just say that we think through this because I don't think someone will come for $44,000 right now in the climate of America right now with all these job openings. Just like we went through the process with police and fire and, getting folks to come here and had to be fair. I don't think anybody's going to come here to be a city arborist for that pay. That's just my opinion.
We're going to stick to our 2 comments. And this would be, this is your second comment?
Right.
3 minutes. Now let's stick to the rules. 3 minutes for the second comments.
No, the rules are made to be broken. And if you're naughty or nice, watch out. No, okay, I got to be a little, mix it up here. Here's what I will say to all the analogies is that there's no way that I'm going to say 65,000 for arborist or 62 when we're negotiating with the police and firemen. And you're going to, and you're going to tell me that 62,000 is the base. That 62,000 is the base. So what are the police and firemen going to tell us? That their job isn't more important than an arborist? I think we're way too high. And it doesn't seem like there's been any wiggle room by the author, all right, to get this thing through. So at this point, I'm not voting for that amount of money when you got employees that are making a lot less than that, and I think have a lot more responsibility. And I'll say it the way I see it: police and firemen. Thank you.
Can I propose an amendment? I'm going to propose an amendment on the salary.
Not on third reading.
We can. We have to suspend the rules. I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules to. It doesn't have to be unanimous. Suspend the rules to make a motion on third reading.
Also, Attorney Meyer, does that have to be in writing also? So you have to give something to the clerk in writing, or we have to suspend the rules.
You can suspend that rule as
Right,
well.
right. Or we have to suspend that rule also.
Yeah, your rules say that any requested amendment is to be in writing.
Yes.
It also says you got to have.
Or we could. That's why I was saying.
Can't,
So she could suspend that, or she could write it on a piece of paper and hand it to
Right.
Gail real quick.
So, but to do any amendment on third reading, you have to suspend the rule.
Right.
That's what I just.
So are you seconding it?
I'll second that.
All right.
Suspension of the rules to
amend?
You want to do both?
Yep.
To amend and
Allow amendment.
not require
Okay.
and not require the written. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Nay.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jagus,
Nay.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
No.
Paul,
Nay.
Mr. Dabney,
Nay.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
and Mr. Mack.
Nay.
We have 3 in favor and 5 opposed.
Is there any other comments from the council? Councilman Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, I did have one more comment. I can't remember when I first got on the council, who the arborist was or the forester. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it was a young guy.
young guy, blonde hair,
Yeah, and
blonde hair.
this is a person that I didn't really understand what an arborist or a forester was. This guy made me excited about trees. I wanted to go hug a tree after listening to this guy talk. But he was terminated by the city. So he was working for that salary. And he was an excellent arborist because he made me interested in trees. So it's not that this can't happen or you can't find someone to do this job with the qualifications. You have to be willing to work with them and keep them.
Are there any other comments from the council? Councilman Simmons?
Yes. It's a shame that no one stepped forward when that $40-some thousand was out there. Shame on the mayor. Shame on the mayor. But I can say I'm in favor of getting a certified arborist. You know, let's get the job done and quit back and forth. I think Angie's amendment was to help, not to say no, but we're just trying to come out. If we're stuck on $65,000, let's discuss it. Yeah.
Are there any other council comments?
I move for adoption.
Council comments. We're still on council comments. Were there any other? Councilman Don
I
Prespolinski?
had a comment. Thank you, Mr. President. I think 65,000 is 62,377.21. I just think that's a little bit too high for that particular position. Other cities, and I don't know what this committee compared their salaries to, but I think it's too high for the city of Michigan City. I'm dealing with firemen, I'm dealing with policemen that deal with the safety of the community. And I don't think, and I know an arborist is valuable, but I don't think he's as valuable as a police officer or a fireman that has to protect us day in and day out and try to save lives in the city of Michigan City. I'm not saying that, 58,000 is bad. I'm just saying that I think maybe we need to vote this down, bring it back, and take another look at this. And if there's different salary ranges that people are thinking about, then let's throw them out on the table and let's talk about it, or have a workshop and get it in line. And the only reason I'm going to say why I voted, if I may, why I voted no towards Councilwoman Deitch's motion there is that I don't want to get into the procedure of having amendments on third reading without proper procedures and having things in writing. And I understand what Councilwoman Deitch was trying to do, was trying to get, okay, let's bring a salary out and let's talk about it. But I was just trying to keep things in a procedural form, and that's my comments on it. But tonight, I'm not going to vote for this. I think we should bring it back, we can now, but
Well, no, I've comments are not closed because I'm going to comment on this. Because what hasn't been discussed here that I've heard, we've discussed backwards thinking of what happened at a finance meeting. We've discussed the mayor's ability to do this or that. We've also discussed the importance of the arborist position. I was very impressed with Miss Arnett and the information she gave, and Councilman Fitzpatrick just spoke of another arborist that got him excited about the thing, and the confidence that we're giving real professionals in the manner that we are trying to attain some of these positions is something that I think we need to think about. We want to get somebody with a real passion for this, a lot of experience, a certification. And then we have to look at the seriousness of this position. We are a city with a really abundant amount of trees. And it's something that should be protected and something that should be elevated. We have to start getting a vision for the future. And things like this, I don't see the comparison with different departments relative to each other. If this guy makes this much, it goes like to that McDonald's worker. If they make $15 an hour, everybody else deserves this or that. I just don't see our economy. I don't see Michigan City's future operating that way. The trees in our town are an important and a valuable resource. And we have to do everything we can to attract a person. I mean, I can see if it was like a police force, and we have to do a lot for them too. Looking forward of what we know we're going to need in this city. We haven't been, over the last whatever amount of years you want to. We're going to have to change our behaviors and our ways of doing things. So I'm all for it. 62,000 in this day and age is not a huge salary, and 62,000 looking forward to what the time frame that we would be, that we might change that. When is that going to be changed? Another 20 years, probably. I mean, that salary is going to stick for quite some time. And haggling over a few $1,000s when we can begin to put things to bed and move forward with the massive things that we have in our city, and put some of the important things to bed is important to me. So with that, do we have a motion?
Move to adopt.
There's a motion.
I'll second it.
And the second, Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Nay.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jacobs,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Absolutely nay.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Nay.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
and Ms. Deitch.
Aye.
We have 5 in favor and 3 opposed.
Ms. Nyla, will you? Oh, no, that was
That's
it.
you.
All right. On the new business, Mr. Perry is requesting the advice and consent of the Michigan City Common Council regarding his reappointment of Nancy Noseric as a member of the Michigan City Cemetery Board. Term will be immediately and expire January 1st, 2025. Ms. Nyla, we want to do that vote now, or do we need to? Is there a?
I think we can make a motion.
Is she here today that wants to speak? No? Want to make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we vote on this tonight.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
For both of them or
Yeah,
just for-
let's do both. I'll read both. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
There's 4 of them.
Oh, all righty. The next one, Mr. Mayor Perry is requesting the advice and consent of the Michigan City Common Council regarding his reappointment of Mr. Davis Bush as a member of the Michigan City Cemetery Board. Term will begin immediately and expire January 1st, 2025. Also, Mr. Perry is requesting the advice and consent of the Michigan City Common Council regarding his reappointment of Ms. Dale Cooper as a member of the Michigan City Art Committee. Term will begin immediately and expire January 1st, 2025. And Mr. Perry is also requesting the advice and consent of the Michigan City Common Council regarding his reappointment of John Reska II to the Michigan City Art Committee. Term will begin immediately and expire January 1st, 2025. We're going to do all of those. And do we have a motion?
Yeah, Mr. President, I make a motion that we vote on all four of these appointments tonight. I would like to comment on Ms. Dale Cooper and Mr. John Riska. The second, being on the Arts Committee, being the liaison to the Arts Committee. I've worked with these Ms. Dale Cooper and Mr. John Riska on projects, and they're both very dedicated and very knowledgeable and hardworking individuals on this Arts Committee, and they are very beneficial to keep them on the commission, to keep the commission going in the right direction. Thank you.
Support.
There's been a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jigus,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Matt,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
and Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
And under unfinished business, the council has one appointment, Youth Leadership Committee. Oh, yes, sir.
That vote was to allow you to vote on things that usually you don't.
I know.
So now you need to vote whether you're going to approve them or not.
You're retired.
The vote. Oh, the vote. The vote, if we can vote. I got you.
Okay, now we need
Ms.
a,
Nyla, on the vote, please.
I need a motion to
No,
do
can we
the,
have a motion on the vote?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
who was the second?
Paul,
Okay.
Don.
Holy moly.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Jacobs,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Matt,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
and Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
They're 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay, under unfinished business, the council has one appointment to the Youth Leadership Commission. And the council also has 2 appointments to the Redevelopment Commission, terms to expire 12/31/21. Incumbents are Angie Nelson Deitch and Michael Mack. Nominees are Angie Nelson Deitch and Miss Kathy Dennis. We did you want to? Are we going to make a nomination tonight?
Oh, we did the nominations.
We already did. Or
Move to approve.
Move to approve. There's been a
I didn't
motion.
know if she wanted to say.
Yeah,
Second.
right. And a second.
I'll second, but I was gonna ask Ms. Dennis if she would like to say anything to us. I know she's spoken to us before. You want to say anything?
I was gonna wait until we vote. We're gonna, usually before. Yep. Either way.
Thank you very much. I will be very quick. It's getting late. I would be very honored to serve on the Redevelopment Commission again. I feel that my experience being on it in the past would allow me to be an active and a member who could participate fully in the business of the Redevelopment Commission, which I think is vital to the city of Michigan City. I feel I have a lot of past professional experience that helps me be an active, good member of the Redevelopment Commission. I think several years ago, I was the lead technical consultant for the Annie E. Casey Foundation, which is one of the largest foundations in the United States, to a project in the 3rd Ward of Houston, Texas, which at that time was the poorest socioeconomic community in the country. It was a multi-year grant award, and we really looked at how do we, if you can think of that 3rd Ward as kind of a TIF district, what are the kinds of things that were needed? We spoke to a lot of professionals. We spoke most importantly to the people who lived in that ward. We looked at education for training for job training, creating new jobs, healthcare, housing, affordable housing, and all those things that the Redevelopment Commission deals with here in Michigan City. So I feel that I have some background that would make me a valuable member of the Redevelopment Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Matt,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jacobs.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
All right, we're on to comments from the public. Are there any comments from the public?
Ernie Hallahan, Michigan City, Indiana, 302 Gladys Street. I have a couple of things. On Springland Ave by the park. Those kids need something done out there before one of them gets killed out there. We already had one hit by a car on Broadway and killed by that park. We don't need another one. I mean, my granddaughter lives right there on that street, and I go out there and these little ones come running from in between cars, and you can't see them until they get out in the street. Yeah, tall timbers. I have brought this up before and nothing's been done. I mean, once the little one got killed on Broadway, they did do something. They put a stop sign there and then they lowered the speed limit, but that did nothing. I mean, I see people run that stop sign all the time and they just fly down that street. Our police doesn't enforce that 15-mile speed limit there. So it does no good if they're not enforcing it, but they definitely need to do something by the apartments out there before one little one gets hit out there. I mean, I worry about all of them. And I express to them, don't run out between those cars. And these are little ones, 2 and 3 years old. No parent supervision. It is sad. But if you could bring that up with police or somebody, I'd appreciate it.
In my ward, I'll get with Captain
it's your ward,
Laneski, and we'll discuss putting up a couple more stop signs. I know the streets we want to put the signs up at.
Yeah.
And a little more enforcement by the district units instead of just cruising. They can sit and write citations.
Yeah, they definitely fly down through there. If you don't believe, go out there and watch them. And I appreciate you putting up with me through the year and listening to my comments. And you all have a great Christmas and a great year next year. And you, good luck. Enjoy your retirement as much as I enjoyed mine.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public?
Michael Vinson, 2402 Greenwood Ave. I listened earlier, we had great discussion about our roads and paving and who needs paved, who doesn't need paved. A lot of anger I felt from you about the Cleveland Ave that probably we had to pay for twice. Is there anything that we have for restitution about the contractor that does the roads? And I say this because Cleveland Ave was a disaster from the beginning. Then I read on swag reports, there's roads with bad grades, poor drainage, sewers in the wrong areas. Why do we have to pay twice for these things? And who are the contractors and who's holding them, who's holding responsible? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm all choked up. But and earlier in some meetings, I heard about internal control policy. Would that include a quality department? And I'm just wondering about holding our receipts for these roads that are being done so we don't have to go back later and spend $350,000.
No, it's more like over $1 million.
Even more to my point. So
Can I answer the question? Is that Cleveland Road was past its performance bond on it, okay? And
And not to interrupt, but from day one, when that was open, anybody that drove down that road could feel the clickety clack of the railroad track as you're driving down. If that passes any inspection, then the board here, the Board of Works, somebody on the street committee, somebody has to raise their hand and object at that point. If that road passed, something's wrong with the grading scale.
well, here's what if you'll let me finish. is
Sure.
that There's usually a performance bond, and that it was way over the time limit, and I wasn't in fact the city engineer at that time. I don't even know who it was. Okay. And that was put in under I believe the Brilson's administration. So I mean that was like 14 years it was out there. Yeah, it was not, but you can't hold somebody responsible 14 years later.
That's not what I'm asking, because I heard Mr. Fitzpatrick say, how many miles of street do we have to be repaved? And let's repave them all and start fresh. Great idea. But if the same person that did Cleveland Ave does the entire city streets, they're all going to be junk before we roll tire one over them.
Here's what
You got to get to
I'll
the next
say to
comment.
that.
Let's wrap
Is
this
that
up.
our city engineer that we have right now is top notch. And I don't think that we can say anything here. I don't want to say anything negative about our city engineer that we have now, in that he did go out there and inspect it several times. He did go out there and see what the problem was. And I mean, it's not gonna be
it's time.
as what happened, in the past, because all the problems were supposedly taken care of on the undergrade.
Okay. I just want to caution us for future projects.
We need to take this one off. Right. It's been more than
Okay.
3 minutes.
All right, very good.
Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Any other public comments? Just wait. Any other public comments? Any comments online? Go ahead.
This is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. With your permission, Mr. President, I'd like to read an open letter to Michigan City. And I really think this speaks volumes to what this community is all about.
Permission granted, Tommy.
Yes. Just give me a second here. I pull it up. Thank you for a great football season. An open letter to Michigan City. Thank you. The love and support for our football team has been incredible. We came up short in our semi-state playoff game, but we must take a moment to thank the amazing people of Michigan City who have made this experience so special. We have now made the IHSA semi-state game three times in 5 years. In Rage and Mariana, cheering through all three of them. We truly love the young people we work with, and we have dedicated our lives to helping them. But we could not do it without you. It is an awesome experience to see the whole town rally behind these young men and give them the support they needed. We cannot say enough about the town and its people turned out to get behind our effort. We take pride in representing Michigan City, but we could not accomplish all we have accomplished without you behind us. There are many people to thank. We hope we don't leave anybody out. Gratitude and thanks go to Dr. Barbara Easton Watkins, Dr. Wendell McCollum, Kyle Dean, and Sarah Hendricks. We must thank our football parents, Jenny Heath, Bill Buzzkirk and crew, who worked as hard this season as anybody else. Thanks to our booster club, the Michigan City Police Department, including Chief Campbell, Officer Corley, and Officer Combs, the Michigan City Fire Department, and our teachers and staff at Michigan City High School. Special thanks to Beth Penhold and Abby Vidito for our awesome cheer squad who are with us for the whole journey. Our athletic training staff, thank you. The incredible fans who made the drives to South Bend and Mishawaka to support us, thank you. Our students who showed up in record numbers throughout the season and playoffs, thank you. There is a very long list of businesses in town that showed up to support us with marquee displays, signs and windows, or print ads. We think this list shows how deep our community pride and spirit of Michigan City runs. Thanks and gratitude go out to American Legion Ski Post, Shula Large Insurance Agency, Cablin's, Patrick's Grill, Galveston Steakhouse, Lakeshore Coffee, Family Express, Center for Contemporary Dentistry, the Michigan City Area Schools Transportation, Brandt's, Schwoops, Uptown Auto Sales, Great Deals on Wheels, Flora's Tech Service, Midas, Holly's, Wright's Flowers, the Springfield Township Fire Department, St. Joe Club, Athletico, DAV, Michigan City Area Schools Administration, the Michigan City Area Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development Corporation, Michigan City, Michigan City Promise Scholarship, Michigan City Parks and Recreation, Megro Shoes, Platinum Design Barbers, 219 Design, Crowning Glory, Termity Boutique, Janus Tax Accounting, Franciscan Health, NIPSCO, Three Shakes Bar and Grill, Dolson Insurance Agency, Flanagan Tire, Root Funeral Home, The News Dispatch, Carpet Town, Snyder Insurance, and Horizon Bank. Neither of us are originally from Michigan City, so am I. But this town has welcomed us with open arms and we fully accept. We are so proud to say that we are from Michigan City. We pledge to continue to work with our students and young people every day to make them better people. Thank you again for supporting us and the team making Michigan City a great place to be. We love all of you. Go Wolves! Sincerely, Craig Shaman, Athletic Director, Michigan City High School, and Phil Mason, Head Football Coach at Michigan City High School. And I'd also like to read a plaque that the coaching staff had received. The Thursday night prior to the semi-state, the Ski Out American Legion hosted the team for dinner, and they presented it with the staff, and I'd like to read it very quickly. On behalf of the Sons of American Legion Squadron 451, we would like to thank the coaching staff of Michigan City High School Wolves football team for your guidance, dedication, encouragement, and wisdom that you have given this team, this 2021 team. Thank you for being one more stepping stone on their journey from the members of SAL Squadron 451, November 2021. And furthermore, I'd like to wish, in addition to, I've already wished Attorney Meyer on his retirement. I also like to wish our director of our Michigan Sanitary District. I just heard on the news this morning that Michael Cuss is also retiring. I say he's been a great ambassador for Michigan City as far as our environmental and our sanitary district. So we want to thank him too. I also want to add that I've filed the electronic form to get on the agenda for the Board of Works meeting on January 3rd at 8:30. I'm going to be requesting the elimination of the three-way stop at Wabash and Ann Street, because I feel that, you know, the hospital has been torn down and I don't think we need to stop there anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any public comment online? Oh, go ahead, Attorney.
Just one thing I forgot to mention. I asked if the mayor was gonna be here tonight, but unfortunately he's not. But he needs to be made aware, or someone needs to be made aware that the lights on Cleveland are staying on all day. I don't know if anyone's brought it to their attention, but they need to know that.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. President, yeah, Ernie, they stay on all day, and instead of being like the rest of the LED lights are, clear, white.
Yeah, they're blue.
For some reason, they're purple.
Yeah, blue or purple, yeah.
Blue, purple, whatever it is. And I gave that information to the city engineer 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's been doing it for quite a while.
I don't know what he's come up with, but yeah, he's been made aware of it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Public comment online's done. Could you say that again?
Tom does have another comment.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. The reason why those street lights are purple is because they're all defective. They put those in back to Memorial Day. That was our former city planner's Craig Phillips' idea to put those in. They put those type of street lights in all over the country, and they're all defective. There's just a bad batch of street lights. They all need to be replaced. All the other states' departments of transportation, you say if you see one of those purple street lights, to contact them, and then they're all being replaced off the manufacturer's cost. That was, I believe that was Hawk Electric and IBW 531 that replaced those. They need to stand behind their workmanship. I've read some ordinance as far as the street lights are concerned. That's the it's the duty of the plan commission to approve the style of the street lights. And it's also the duty of you common council members to provide the funding to pay the NIPSCO bill to keep the lights burning. So they all need to be replaced. Every one of them, all the way from Meyer Drive to 400 North. We need to
Thank you, sir.
get that done. Thank you.
All righty. Public comment? Public comment online? Public comment is now closed. Comments from the council? Councilman Don Prespolinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, in closing this evening, few departments that I want to thank during the negotiations that we had so far with the fire and the police, and that's Yvonne Hoffmaster from the controller's office. She's done a fantastic job, and their whole department, the controller's office, has done a fantastic job in helping us get through finding out numbers, figuring out budgets and what we can spend with these two different organizations. So I want to give a shout out to the controller's office. Same thing with Amber LePage, our city attorney. She's worth her weight in gold. She does a fantastic job from a legal standpoint. And Andrea Smith, the personnel director for the city. She's been there to guide us on different aspects of the contract and things of that nature. And Merry Christmas to all the different departments in the city. Merry Christmas to all my colleagues up here on the city council and to all the citizens of Michigan City. I hope you have a wonderful and joyous Christmas and a wonderful New Year's. Enjoy the holidays. The other thing that I also want to bring up is since we're talking about trees, and our gentleman's here from the tree board, is on Franklin Street, okay, and Michigan Boulevard, the trees that are on there, the trees that the city planted, say from, let's just say from Cool Spring Ave down to 11th Street, that those trees need to be surveyed and inspected, because there's many of them that have been run over by cars, taken out, never been replaced. Other ones that are being busted by people that are walking down the sidewalks. I call the street department weekly to come down there and pick up pieces of trees that are laying all over, especially on Michigan Boulevard. Whatever kind of trees were ever planted there when Michigan Boulevard was redone and re-landscaped. I think they have removed, I don't know, I think I counted, and this was about a year ago, I think 120 of those trees have been removed from their actual planting spot. So whatever happened there, it looked to me like it was the wrong type of tree that was put into that application. But I'd appreciate if the tree board would take a look at that. And possibly if you're going to be the next arborist, you know, you could, it kind of sounds in that direction that, you know, you take a look at that and possibly we could get some recommendations and put some other trees in there to keep those avenues looking nice, like they should be.
I always advocated to the police department when there were traffic accidents. One, the city council, not the city council, but the person who is in charge of assessing that asset to be replaced. Legal office, but I asked, I asked the chief of police, please, when a car accident does happen and the city damage is done, that tree is put on there so we can assess the removal and the replantation of it. We have not heard because that was always the arborist or the forester's duty at that time.
That's good.
Thank you.
That's good. Thank you. Let's move on with the, we can take those out online. Any other comments from the council?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deitch?
I just want to read this from the LaPorte County Health Department that came out today. And I'll just read it verbatim so that I don't mess anything up. We are currently seeing a rapid increase in the number of COVID-19 cases in LaPorte County. We are up to 18,740 public cases and 283 deaths. LaPorte County has logged 500 new cases of COVID-19 per week this month, 500 per week. At this time, Dr. I'm going to butcher her name, Dr. Ducey is asking the LaPorte County community to take a proactive approach and strongly recommends that masks be worn indoors in public places. Dr. Ducey's medical opinion follows the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC guidance, recommending the use of face masks while indoors near others outside of your family unit, regardless of vaccination status, in areas of high transmission, which now includes LaPorte County, which is in the red COVID category. Unvaccinated individuals account for an overwhelming percentage of recent hospitalizations and many of the deaths associated with COVID-19 infection. Masking is necessary to slow the spread of the virus to prevent additional surges in new COVID cases, which could result in greater numbers. So on and on and on. So some of the recommendations is that those who are medically able to do so should wear a face mask in public indoor settings when near others, regardless of status, vaccination status. The use of face masks is recommended for all teachers, staff, students, visitors to schools, regardless of vaccination status. Good thing is they're out of school right now. Get tested if experiencing COVID-19 symptoms. Everyone with a known contact to someone with confirmed COVID-19 should get tested 3 to 5 days following exposure, and then isolate if you have tested positive for COVID-19 in the prior 10 days or experiencing COVID-19 symptoms, and then get boosted and vaccinated, wash your hands, etc. So, I mean, as we go to this holiday season, I'm just, wishing everybody a blessed holiday season, but a safe one. I know that several people, even here, have been impacted by COVID-19, and we're seeing this spike, and it is really taking a hold on the hospitals too. I know LaPorte had people in the hallways taking 2 or 3 days to even get a room because of COVID-19. So that was I think that was the Thanksgiving kind of, surge. And now we may end up with a Christmas and a New Year's Eve surge, a New Year's Day surge. So just be cognizant of your surroundings and who you're with. But everybody have a blessed holiday season, and especially our council members and our city employees, but all the citizens. So just have a safe and wonderful holiday.
Councilwoman Jiggers.
Yeah, Caleb, if you can put that up there. So I was fortunate enough, our tree board got it together and we did a big tree planting last Friday, December 17th. And I need to thank members of, there's some pictures up there of us planting trees. Even though it was a little chilly, it was great. Clay Putnam and Servicescape, he's a tree board member and he had his crew dig the holes and do the locates for us. And then Michigan City Vector Control crew and Officer Steve Hahn, they were watering the trees, so they followed us in our little itinerary and got those trees watered to get started. Tree board members Mick Wolf, Laura Henderson, myself, and volunteers Vita Kluko, Darius Mitsukevichus, and Sarah Hefner. They were very helpful in this day that we went around and planted trees, and people were very thankful. It was very nice to see people, meet people and just do something for them. So this is a grant we got from NERPC. It's called the Community Tree Grant. Thanks. Oh, and Merry Christmas to everyone.
Any other comments from the council? Councilman Paul Przybylski.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Oh, okay. Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone. Happy New Year too. And to the residents of Edgewood, I want to say welcome back to the 4th Ward with the new lines being drawn. We have the area from Franklin to Cleveland and Barker Road to Cool Spring, which is now back in the 4th Ward. And I'll be making an effort to reach out to you in the new year. So I look forward to doing that, even though I've been through those areas before. It's put up on the city website, so that's what I'll go by. And just on another note, and not to put a damper on the holiday spirit, I know everybody's used to me making my ending comment at the end of the meeting, and it was for a good reason, because I didn't want everyone to forget the comments that was made by the mayor of the city and the disrespectful stance he took toward members of the clergy. And this will be the last time I'll be doing it. And however, if there is a time when this council has the desire to have a vote of no confidence for this mayor because of his incompetence, which I'm pretty sure we could throw darts at the wall and just pick one. When you look at LaPorte, I never thought I'd be jealous of LaPorte City, but the things that are going on over there, I mean, Mayor Dermody is running circles around Dwayne Perry, and it's embarrassing. But I do want to say that for the last time, December 21st, 2021, I have zero confidence in Dwayne Perry, his supporters, or any of his naysayers. And if anybody thinks I'm talking about him, I probably am. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Councilman Simmons.
Yes, I just wanted to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone. And also thank Mr. Cuss for his service. He did a wonderful job for the city of Michigan City during his tour. And I'd just like to wish him well.
Councilman Paul Przybylski.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. I want to also wish everyone a Merry Christmas and blessed New Year. And the reason I say blessed is on a health note, so I hope this is stricken off my docket, is that I want people to be advocates and tell people if they hear them coughing to get to a medical doctor or a clinic, because not to wait, and everybody needs to be advocates out there to get medical attention, because this thing is survivable. There are therapeutics out there that can help you. And let me tell you this, they do work, because they worked on me, although probably some people wish they didn't, all right? Which I don't really give a rat's, okay, tail. But what I will say is this, my son-in-law had COVID. He went in and you have a small window to get an infusion. And we all need to be advocates. This thing is that, and even if you're vaccinated, you can get ill. So we all need to work together and tell people, hey, go get tested. Right on A Street, it's free. And that's what we have to do. We all have to be advocates. We have to be our brother's keeper and say, hey, you need to go get tested. Don't wait. Don't wait till the last minute. All right? Because when you wait till the last minute, this is a violent flu virus and it attacks your lungs. So now I want to address something that was said earlier and to give people the thought process that we have to go through on this one ordinance, because I didn't have enough time, is that we can apply for $1 million. So the general public knows this. We can get $1 million a year in grant money. So that means that if we do a project in the TIF district, they can participate in that grant money. If we do a project in different wards, they can participate in that grant money. But I don't think we got $1 million worth of grant money last year in the projects that were done. So what I'm advocating is this, is that we, as the elected body, give direction that people were going to take advantage. And I'm not saying to rob the piggy bank, but that's why those taxes are collected in the TIF, to benefit the TIF. And we're not sliding a certain ward. Actually, the TIF districts have more benefit because they have those pots of money where you take, and I'm an advocate for the second ward because I'm elected. I lived there all my life. I stayed in the second ward and I've seen it deteriorate. And that's why, just like if you look, because the comment that was made about the PASER study, you have to have the PASER study to get the grant money from the state, bottom line. So if you like it or don't like it, you still have to do it, okay? Or update it. But my thing is this. If you do a project, say you do a $500,000 project in the TIF, you get 500,000 grant from the state in their community crossing grant program. And then you can do a $500,000 project in the wards and you get another 500,000. So you know what? That reminds me of an old commercial, Double Mint, double your money. All right. Simple as that. Simple analogy. You're getting the most for your buck. Thank you. And I hope everybody can understand that simple analogy. Thank you.
Any other council comments? Seeing that there are none, I will close with Merry Christmas and to all a good night. Do we have a motion? Meeting's closed.